Hello, my viewers. Welcome to Hugar Social Academy. As we know that the world, where more than 200 countries are there, it has been found that every country is not self-sufficient. Every country has to depend on each other. In the same way, India also does. But if you look back the past of the history of the India, it has been found that we are being ruled by the different empires, which caused what it is that it took a long time in the development of the nation. But when we look towards another part of it, it has been found that India always remained, followed the direction called as a peace direction. But this world has even faced the wars between the number of nations. As we know very well that the two world wars were being fought, which are known in the name of First World War as well as the Second World War. The First World War, which took place during the time of 1914 to the period of 1918. In the same way, the Second World War, which began from the 1939 and it remained up to 1945. But these two world wars, it has disturbed the peace of the whole world, and even it has destroyed the beautiful nature which was there. And these all things are there, it's because of what? Because of, as I said, every country is not self-sufficient. Every country is dependent on other country. Some country, by forcibly, by making the other nations, those nations which are being weak, right, by exploiting them, and some nations by forcibly attacking on the other nations, what we have seen that world war have taken place. After the First World War, which was fought between 1914 to 1918, after that, in the year 1919, the League of Nations was being created. It was being made. The purpose of making of League of Nations, what it was that the incidents what which has taken place, right, should not happen in the future. Keeping in the mind 1919, the League of Nations came forward. But this League of Nations, who served his best to save the wars between the number of nations, which worked up to 1939, but in the 1939 it could not able to stop the Second World War. It was due to his failure, due to the failure of League of Nations, because the League of Nations was not having its own army. The powerful nations like America, England, they were not the part of the League of Nations. The growing power of the Germany, the growing power of the Italy has created a chaos in the way in the Europe. Even that was also not checked. And due to this, the Second World War took place. But Second World War was more horrible compared to the First World War. In reaching up to 1945 and the usage of the atomic bomb, as you know, in the Japan, where two atomic bombs were being dropped by United States of America, Hiroshima and Nagasaki was completely destroyed. This brought a big chaos in the way among the number of nations. Many number of nations who who have taken part in the Second World War, they were completely economically they were collapsed. Small nation to big nation, everyone were being affected, but the developed nations which were being there, somewhat they were being able to overcome over the war, and they financially very fast with their growth they developed once again. But there was a question regarding the what would be going to happen next after 1945, as The enmity yet not totally closed. Enmity yet totally it is not closed. During such time, during such time, United States of America President Franklin D. Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt of America, United States of America President. England, Winston Churchill, England's Winston Churchill, and Russia President called Stalin were responsible, and the proposal first kept by the United States of America for the creation of an organization which will build up a strong community, strong environment, so that in future such wars should not happen. It's because of crores of deaths which took place. Many of number of nations which were completely collapsed, their economic structure was completely destroyed. The number of nations, they were in need of the development, need of the peace in the way in the number of countries or in the world. In the year 1945, 24th October 1945, we saw an organization came into the power called as United Nations of Organization. Presently, United Nations of Organization, who is having 193 members of the United Nations of Organization. This United Nations of Organization, which is having its own constitution, which is having its own constitution. The constitution of, or the preamble of the Constitution of United States of, the preamble of the Constitution of United Nations of Organization, which begins with the we the people of United Nations. Who are these United Nations? Those all who are the part of UNO. India is also the part of UN. And see, very coincidence what it is that our Indian preamble, it also begins with we the people of India. The constitution of UNO, which consists of 119 chapters with 111 articles, which speaks about regarding the development or the peace among the number of nations. The United Nations of Organization, who is ready to serve to the world. As the present day is not of the war, the present day or the present era speaks about the development of all the number of nations. India follow a philosophy, a policy called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where India takes everyone together in the development. UNO is also playing a very, very important role, as we are seeing that number of nations are been quarreling with each other. You might be knowing that one side Russia Ukraine is going on, another side Israel has been fighting with the terrorist organization called as a Hamas. Another side we have seen between the Armenia and Azerbaijan. We are seeing between the South Korea as well as the North Korea, India, China, India, Pakistan, many more countries who are engaged in the war, but it is due to the United Nations of Organization who strongly standing in between the number of these nations, who is not allowing any of the nations to take any such steps which can harm or which can destroy this whole world. As many number of nations are able or capable or they have developed the nuclear weapons, and we very well know that nuclear weapons is not a solution for the peace. Solution for the peace. If really the peace has to be remained in this world, then every nation together they have to move. Then only there will be the what development. So there are some specific objectives of the UNO. Let us move one by one. Now, objectives are to maintain international peace and security. This is most important. Security of all the number of nations. UN do not allow any of the nation to attack on the other nation, or to capture on the other nation, or to have the control on the other nation in the form of colonialism. Also, it opposes security to develop friendly relation among nations, which is needed. As I said, none of the country is self sufficient. Every country has to depend on each other. To establish faith in the fundamental human rights. If human rights are being there, if human rights are being followed properly, then only an individual will feel free himself. Otherwise he will feel himself as like that he is in a slave. So all the nations and India strongly opposes the colonialism system as well as the imperialism system. The fourth point speaks about international cooperation in solving international problems. Cooperation in solving international problems. Terrorism is one of the biggest international problem now. Poverty is one of the biggest international problem. Development of the economy is biggest international problem. Those are cooperations, he says. Establish justice, which is very, very important. Justice is very, very important, right? So in earlier days, if you look over, where was the justice? Where it was been found that many of the powerful nations are been ruling on the other nations, or forcibly they are implementing their laws on those nations who have taken some sort of loans or some sort of money, financial help from those powerful nations. Justice, he says, to function as a center of harmonizing the actions of nations, which is very, very important. Again, actions of nations. What type of attitude has been kept by the nation with the other nation, whether those nations are been following or cooperating with each other, or in the name of cooperation do they are creating any sort of hurdles in the development process. Such things are been, what actions are been kept in a eye by the whom, by the UNO. So in this way, what we see that UNO is playing a very, very important role, as UNO is having his own organs. UNO is having his own organs, and these organs, they function, they work for the development of the all the nations who are the part of the, which one, part of the United Nations of organization. So we are having 193 members as a part of UNO, United Nations of Organization, right? So let us learn that how this UNO organs are, what, which are these different UNO organs are there, or United Nations organs are there, and what are their functions. Okay, now as after understanding about the objectives of UNO, there are 6 different organs are there which are working for the betterment of, which is betterment of the world. And these all 6 organs, they are having the different functions, right? Organs and functions. And many time I say you dear that many of the points which are been written on the board, easily what you can do, you can frame it or you can write it in the form of the notes also, which will help you, right? With the listening, also the work of completion of making of the notes will also be what it will be, or it will also finish. So these are not but what these are the organs. The Security Council, right? See, more than the important, with the listening also very important, it becomes what if we go on writing the number of topics also, and after the listening, then sitting for the little bit of a time and having the recapitulation on it, easily what we can see that it will help us to understand more easily if the listening part and the writing part, it remains perfect. So the Economic and Social Council, right? The Trustship Council, right? We are having the Trustship Council. we are having International Court of Justice, International Court of Justice, and more, and one more, the last one, the Secretariat. What it is? The Secretariat. Now this is what with the six organs of which one? Six organs of the United States of Organization. And in that six are, in among these six, the very important one is General Assembly and another one is Security Council. One is General Assembly, another one is Security Council. It's not that they do not play a role, they also play a very important role, but these two organs are nothing but they are the major role player. Okay, now these are the six different organizations: General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, the Trustship Council, the International Court of Justice, as well as the Secretary. Okay, when we talk about the General Assembly, it's nothing but it is even called as a World Parliament. It is even called as what? Called as a World Parliament. It is. Why World Parliament? It's because, see how many nations we are having. 193 nations are the part of the part of the United Nations of Organization. And in the General Assembly, out from 193 nations, right? Each nation, from each nation, 5 representative. From each nation, 5 representative, but 5 is equal to 1. 5 is equal to 1. So 193 nations. So if any sort of discussion has to be done, and after the discussion, like how in the Indian Parliament, 2/3 majority is needed to pass off any sort of a bill. In the same way, here out of 193 nations will vote, but here 193 will not convert it to 193 into 5. Okay, here all 5 is equal to 1 vote. All 5 is equal to 1. So total vote will be 193 vote only. And in that 2/3 majority, if it is been there, then automatically what will be there? The law will be what? It will be passed. So it is one of the important organ. As from 193 nations. For each nation, 5 representative will be sent, and 5 representative is equal to 1. If any sort of discussions or the meetings will be held, and any sort of decision has to be taken, will be done with the form of the votings, and in that voting, 2/3 majority will be what? It will be accepted. Okay, right? There will be the president, there will be the vice president, as well as standing committees will be there. There will be a president, vice presidents, right, as well as the standing committees will be there. The work of these is to what to do? To overcome over the all the number of situations which are been prevailed in the outside in the world. Okay, so 193 members sit in the General Assembly. Normally this General Assembly, it takes place from the month of September to December month. September to what? September to December. Okay, where all the number of nations representative will present over there, and they can express in this General Assembly, as we said it as a World Parliament, they can express their views regarding whether they can talk related to their country, or they can talk about the any sort of problem if it has been arose from the other nations, right? Or the world commonly, what type of problem is being faced by the whole world. Any such issues can be brought up in the General Assembly. So this is one of the very important organ of the United Nations of Organization. In this way, it plays a very important role. And when we talk about about the second very important organ, which is called as the Security Council. What it is called? It is called as the Security Council. See, the word is security. It is. The word is what? It is a security. This Security Council plays a very important role. Now here in this Security Council, what we see that there will be 5 permanent members will be there and 10 non-permanent. India comes under the 10 non-permanent at the top. Okay, now who are those 5 permanent members? Right here in the Security Council, 5 permanent members will be there. And who are these 5 permanents? One is United States of America, right? The founder. The second one is England. The third one is France. The third one is France. The fourth one is Russia. The fourth one is Russia, and the fifth one is China. These are the 5 permanent members. Okay, these 5 permanents which are there, they will have the special power which we call it as a veto power. Veto power. Okay, this is the special power which these 5 countries, 5 nations are been having, and the rest will be all how many? 10 non-permanent members. How many? 10 non-permanent members will be what? They will be there, right? This Security Council is responsible for electing the president of UNO. This Security Council is responsible for the appointment of the president of who should be the president of UNO. Okay, and the president is nothing but in the name of what? The secretariat. In the form of the secretariat. The secretariat work is to who is going to observe the different issues, like how in every sections in every department there will be one head. Okay, and that head is going to what? To observe the things what is been going on, whether they are in a fine form, whether they are not in a fine form. These all things will be very properly what it will be done, it will be observed. And another side, the 10 non-permanent members are, they are also having the power who can give number of suggestions to the which one, to this the Security Council. And Security Council duty what it is, that to keep the interest of these all number of members. And every after 2 years there is no fixed that among these 10 non-permanent members they will remain permanent. Okay, India has remained because of his achievements, but another side if you look over, many number of nations up and downs will be there, but here there will be no difference. Here after every 2 years, there what we will see, the new selections of it will be there. Security Council is also responsible for the appointment of the judges of the International Court of Justice. Responsible for the appointment of the judges of the International Court of Justice. It recommends the name, gives the proposal, keeps the proposal of the names that who should be made as a judges, and the International Court of Justice, which plays a very important role. This is the International Court of Justice which brings, or which solves the different issues which is being brought up in toward to him, right? Like for example, India and Pakistan, we are having still the issues related to like Jammu and Kashmir, right? Or issues related to if any of the person of the nation is being arrested by the other nation, and that nation has decided to give the death sentence, and if the nation whose person is been given as a death sentence, that nation can put up his appeal in the International Court of Justice. Or any border issues, if it is been there, then such number of issues will be dealt by the International Court of Justice. In the same way, the Trustship Council which has been there, the Trustship Council which present day has loosened its power, but this Trustship Council duty was to liberate those all nations which were under the some other nations. But nowadays, as it has loosened its importance, it's because of no nation in this world is under the hands of the other nations, as UNO itself helps in liberating the nations. In the same way, when we talk about the Economic and Social Council, right? Economic and Social Council plays a very important role regarding development of the social structure, regarding development of the culture structure, bringing the unity regarding the culture, the education system, related to eradicating the poverty system, bringing the balance in the economic condition of the nations who are called as underdeveloped nations, or making those underdeveloped nations economically strong with the help of the developing nations. Moreover, human resources, human rights, regarding these all, and moreover, very important role with the affiliated bodies like World Health Organization, International Monetary Fund, Food and Agriculture Organization, UNICEF, UNESCO, International Labor Organizations. With these all organizations, which are called as affiliated bodies, with these organizations, Economic and Social Council, it works. But overall, out of six organs, the General Assembly and Security Council plays a very, very, very important role. Hope you have understood. In our next session, let us learn more about what were the achievements of the UNO and the number of affiliated bodies, which are those when they were being established, and what type of role they are been playing in this world. So let us meet in our next section with the chapter called as a World Organization from the Political Science, chapter number 22 of class 10 standard Karnataka state syllabus. Let us join in. Let us join and let us come with a more number of information regarding the affiliated bodies of UNO.